Holly, obviously. So, yeah, I've written some notes down because I'm just going to talk about my journey, how I got into the career and things like that. And if you want any questions after that. But basically, I used to be you. I went to Wyke College, but I did a BTEC in art and design. I think at that age, I was never like 100% what I wanted to do in that, but I always wanted to be like in the creative sector. I think it's a little bit harder, especially at that age, to decide because I don't know, a lot of career paths, especially like going, I'm going to be an artist. It seems a bit daunting, like you need to be. But anyway, so I'm going to go on about it. So yeah, so I was always a crafts person. Tried a few different things like illustration. Back then, I felt a bit like my options were limited. I don't know, tattooing like in the last 10 years, it's come on a lot. Definitely. I think at one point in time, it was like only a certain type of people apparently got tattoos, and it wasn't seen as much in an art form, but obviously now it is huge. So yeah, I was always a bit more hands-on with things as well. I think career paths is often like, you know, if you want to go the graphic route, you can't be much of a technophobe like I am as well. So yeah, started off BTEC at Wyke, then I went to do fine art at uni. I think in hindsight, fine art is great, but you trying a lot of different things. But I think it's good to maybe do that before you go, right, I definitely want to be a tattooer. I definitely want to be that. Because, you know, obviously there's a lot of other things you can go into. So, yeah, that was slide 1. Can I go to slide 2, please, Andrew? I can't see the slides on mine. Don't know why.
I haven't put the slides up yet, Holly, that's why.
Put slide 1 on then, sorry.
So,
that would
yeah,
be good.
I was just letting you introduce yourself. But, yeah,
sorry.
Bear with.
Yeah, so awesome. Yeah, so after education, I was like kind of contemplating my choices, and it did, like I say, being shot back out into the world. Sorry, on 2 for now, please, mate. Yeah, so did seem a little bit daunting, if you can speak. So yeah, I was doing like a few commissions, but getting paid to do art just seemed like a massive rarity to me at the time. So I think a lot of the time you do have to make your own opportunities. So I massively just started making stuff and going, right, I'm going to push myself out there. So yeah, going back to tattooing, can I go on slide 3, please? Yeah, so I always like loved it as an art form and expression. But yeah, like I was saying to Andrew earlier, the industry can seem like airtight. It seems a lot like when you're going and asking in studios, you get a lot of no's before you get a yes. I think I asked in a few places, and sometimes it is like just timing. Sometimes it's not that they don't like you or your work. It can be, okay, at the time, they just don't have the time to put into an apprentice, because it does, for a mentor, they do have to put a lot into you, and they've got to put a lot of trust into you as well, to represent their shop. Yeah, so I went around asking a lot of questions, and yeah, I think a lot of people were like, well, you know, you've done art, but will you be good at tattooing? So I just went away and did like a really solid portfolio. So like just started drawing, and even though like we're all creative people and you're an artist, it's getting used to drawing for tattoos is completely different as well. So I've included a couple on here. You know, drawing what will fit a body shape, things like that. You see a lot of flash sheets when you go into shops where people are drawing loads and loads of designs that would work on different places. Yeah, like literally getting a solid portfolio out there, just getting all your ideas out and showing a shop, like, this is what I can do. These are the styles I can do. Can I go on to slide 4, please? Yeah. So yeah, when I first started getting into it, I was apprenticeship. It was like a pretty old school shop, and at the time, it did feel like last one, please. Yeah, it was quite a male dominated industry as well. It did feel a lot like, I don't know if I'm going to be good at this. I don't know, like, carry on with it. But I think there's a lot of hurdles you have to get across, but just keep on. If you do like get in somewhere, just carry on with it. So when you first start as an apprentice, if you're getting taken on, the first thing you're going to learn about is not tattooing. It'll be health and safety. It'll be all the other stuff before you're even allowed to touch a machine. So I've included some stuff like this. So like the first thing, you're probably going to be asked to keep a studio clean, do all those sort of things. There's a lot of other like important stuff before you're even allowed to touch a person's skin. There's like no cross contamination. I think I've included a couple of pictures, like basically cling filming everything that touches another person is cling filmed and then thrown away again. Every needle's thrown away, every cup, anything that touches a person, apart from like literally the machine, but even the bits that are touching someone else are covered. You wear gloves. Everything like that is really important. Doesn't matter, like even if I know some people will get like a machine and want to practice at home and do things like that. I'm not going to judge anyone for doing that, but if you are doing it, like be safe, like never use a needle again. And like even like disposing of needles, you need like a sharps bin, everything like that. Like, because if a bin man could pick that up and it's touched someone's skin, it's just, there's loads of things, but you'll learn like that'll be the first thing you'll learn about. It'll be really boring, and you're going to think, oh my God, like I wanted to learn how to tattoo, but those bits are the most important bits first. Basically like your client is putting their safety in your hands. So you're going to be learning all that stuff and also learning how to put a machine together. I've put like a picture of a machine on there. There's loads of little bits like that that you'll, for ages, it'll think like nothing is working. Like if you do one little thing wrong, but if you've got a good mentor, they'll be like, you'll be shadowing them for quite a while and seeing what they're doing right and wrong. There's like, you can do something a tiny bit, like if you don't set your machine up right, like the picture I put on of some skin, like basically how the ink goes into the skin. If you go too deep, it's going to bleed out and it looks like a bruise. If you don't go deep enough, it's not going to stay in. So that's like just the technical elements, like the practical elements of that is quite important. But like I say, it's like learning like a brand new technique. Anyone could be an amazing drawer and then they just find it really hard at first. It takes a long time to get used to, but you will do. Sorry, I've written some notes. When you get used to like putting things together, all that sort of stuff, then it's like literally the practical element of like using, it's like, okay, say you're really used to using markers, you got something that's vibrating in your hand that's crazy and that's really daunting. So I always say like get a few people that will allow you to practice on them first, like a couple of friends in a safe environment that don't mind it, I don't know, not going right straight away. Because if you start in the general public, you're going to do something like it's completely wrong. You're probably going to do a few that aren't your best work that you can say later on, if it's a friend, I'm going to cover that for free for you. And there is a stuff like there's a fake skin you can get. It's good just to practice like using a machine on, getting used to like holding something that's like heavier in different ways, just drawing in a completely different way. But there's nothing quite like proper skin. So maybe like fake skin for a while, then do some like really simple line work on someone. But there's things that you can't run before you can walk. So it'll just take like apprenticeship takes a good few months, maybe years to even get to a point where you're doing something decent. But like I say, it's a long journey, but it's worth it in the end. Like I say, like simple line work is probably the first thing you're going to get down. Before you even try doing shading, colouring or anything like that, they're probably harder. It's just baby steps all the way. Everything's just going to be really slow. A lot of people, because they've got a certain type of like art that they do, certain type of drawing that they do or style, straight off the bat they go, I want to do this style. I want to tattoo like I draw, which eventually is ace. But at first you need to get like fundamentals down. So you're probably going to be asked to do like simple line work stuff, simple dot work stuff. There's a few things that you like, even just a traditional tattoo or something, there's going to be a few styles that you're going to need to learn before you get to do whatever your thing is, or when you learn what your thing is. Just because every tattooist needs to get the simple stuff. I don't know, you just need to get it down before you do, like run before you can walk, basically. Solid line work and colour is like the hardest things, but they're like your fundamentals. Once you've got them down, you can do a lot of other things. Just practice, it's perfect. Especially like learning to draw different tattoo styles as well. Just so you've got that like string in your bow, like it's you know, you just keep doing it. Yeah, can I have the next slide again, please? Yeah, so yeah, the main thing I say is like listen to your mentor, keep your head up. You're gonna have a lot of no's, you're gonna have a lot of step backs. Like it took a long while to get any good. Basically, you know, it'll just take a while to learn how to use something else, but like I said, it's worth it. So yeah, my own journey again. So after a couple of years learning, I was doing like small little designs, like boring stuff for ages. But then once you learn, like you know how to tattoo now, you can start doing more custom things. And I opened my own shop after like a couple of years somewhere else. And started doing more custom designs. And that sort of brings me to talk about working with people. So a big part of your job, like, I don't know, not all artists, but a lot of us quite solitary creatures. Like if you're a painter or something like that, you do work alone a lot. With tattooing, one of the main things is you're working with clients, you're working with other people, you're working to a brief. Obviously you've done some of that in education, but sometimes it's the big thing is working with them, knowing what they want, drawing out of them what they want, making their ideas come to life. And bear in mind, like a lot of people that will come into your shop, they're not artists themselves, so they don't know how things will work. They'll say, I want 10 ideas and I want it in this small space, but you've got to kind of like work with them, go, right, that won't work, this is what will look good. And that's why I was saying earlier about learning how to do a design to a body part, what will look nice, what will be flattering, and you know, having confidence to talk to people. It took me a while to, you know, sometimes you have to tell someone your design just won't work, it won't look nice. It's just like taking their idea and making it look good, and just being a bit brave with people's skills as well. There's a lot of back and forth, and I'd probably say like my least favorite part of the job is the admin, because basically someone will want to book in, so they'll ask for a quote, they'll ask for design and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of back and forth. Like I'd say like at least 50% of your job is before you even putting something on the client, is like emailing, chatting to them, getting their design down, making sure they're happy before anything else. So that just takes a lot of your time. It can get annoying, but you just got to make sure you're giving them what they want and the best of your abilities. And you know, sometimes you might say that style I can't do, and to give it to someone else. But it's better. You'll find the more you do it, what you're comfortable in doing. And learning to work with people and working to the briefs that they want. It's quite, I mean, it can be a job because you're working with people a lot as well. It can be quite draining, but also really rewarding. Just setting out like time management, things like that, putting a lot of work in before and after work. It's not always when you're there. There's a lot of designing at home. There's a lot of answering questions at home. It can be draining, but it's also amazing when you do someone a good job and they're very happy. And you get out what you put in, and it's just a lot of hard work. Can I have the next one, please, Andrew? That was my shop, by the way. That was like my old one and my new one. So I was at the other shop for 8 years. I was renting it, and then I bought the chapel. So I've been in there since last year, but obviously we've already been working when it's not been locked down. So yeah, I mean, like I say, I'll talk about how hard the journey is, and how I think some years, especially when you're just learning, you think I'm never going to get good. This is really hard. But, you know, the more you put in, the more you'll get out of it, and eventually it'll be worth it. I'm looking to have a job that I love. It doesn't necessarily make it easy. It means you probably put more hard work in and put more time in than you would if you was working for someone else, I'd say. So in summary, if you have practice, yeah, just learning fundamentals, getting those down, just get a decent portfolio, like just look at other tattoo work and, you know, just keep drawing, keep doing designs of, you know, of all different styles, and then you'll learn what you like the most and what you're best at. But, you know, if you've got that under your belt and say, right, I can draw this, this and this, then a shop might be more likely to take you on. Obviously, if it's decent and it's a bit original as well, but putting the hours in, working with clients, that's the main points. I've put a couple of sides of different styles of tattoos. I mean, obviously you've all seen them and stuff, but, you know, different styles. So like on this one, there's like a bit of geometric work, like a bit of dot work, and then there's one that's a bit traditional with some solid line work and some dot work as well. The main thing with some of these, like the actually like placement of design was really tough, especially on that throat one, getting it even. You'll sometimes spend like hours just even putting a stencil on, making sure it's right. Like I say, the more you put in, the more you'll get out of it. And it just dividing your time, knowing, okay, if I said to someone it's going to take 2 hours, you might have an hour either side of if they're not feeling too good and need to take breaks, or it takes longer to put on, all those sort of things. Can I have the next one, please, Andrew? This is just some black and grey stuff. It's not really my favourite stuff to do, but like I say about style, sometimes you've got things that you enjoy doing, but it's a job like anything else. So some things in your bread and butter and you get asked to do that you aren't always your favourite things. Like I wouldn't take it on if I couldn't do it, but there's some things that I prefer doing. So as well, like with time, some of these took me a couple of hours, but like that back piece was like a few sessions as well. So you'll learn as you go along how long things are going to take, how much the skin can take and things like that as well. Some people can sit for like 8 hours and manage fine, while other people can do an hour tops. You'll learn that with client, you know, if you're talking about things like that. That guy with the back piece was a beast, and he did it in like 2 sessions, because like 2 8-hour sessions, because he's mad. But yeah, and there's only so much the skin can take as well. So after a while, they'll just get sore. It's just not working. Obviously, things like that you'll learn as you go along. And you know, if you've got a decent person mentoring you, they'll tell you things like this. But yeah, some things you learn on the job. Can I have the next one, please? Yeah, and that's colour work, which is probably my favourite stuff to do. But it took me a few years to get all right at putting colour in. It's just hard and takes time as well. Like when you're tattooing, you'll think, oh, it'll be like when you first start, it was just like drawing. But things you have to work it in slowly. Obviously, you can't damage the skin. You can't. You just need a lot of patience. It takes like a good few hours to make something nice, which is something that took me a while to learn. But like I say, everyone will be different. What things that they pick up faster. But I do enjoy doing colour most personally, just because I find it more fun. But it took me the longest to get any decent and putting decent colour in and healing well and things like that. You'll also learn about the healing process and what to be telling people with all that sort of stuff. Because at the end of the day, like, you're used to working on a canvas, but this is a human being. Some people just you have to tell them how to look after it, all that sort of stuff. Some things will need recolouring, and some people, you'll start tattooing them and they'll just tap out, they can't handle it, or they'll feel faint. But you have to look after them. They're a person. You can't just be like, right, I'm doing this, I'm spending this many hours. It's just I mean, loads of people have like good and bad client stories that they'll tell you about. There's some, you know, situations that other tattooists have told me that they've been in and I haven't. Like I've had someone pass out and be sick and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, you'll just learn on like how much to gauge and how hard to go, and how, you know, to be, you're still hurting someone at the end of the day, so you have to be nice to them. That's all the notes I wrote down. But that was kind of like talking about my journey and how I got into it. And like, yeah, just giving you a bit of like I always feel like a lot of people have said, oh, I've tried to get into it. I've asked at loads of places and I've not been able to. And it's one of those jobs that I think a lot of people want to get into. But yeah, like I say, sometimes you'll get told no at a shop, but it's not necessarily because they don't like your work. Maybe they think you could practice a bit more, or maybe they're just not looking at the time. But you just keep going, just keep asking, just keep practicing, and just get a good portfolio together mainly. Has anyone got any questions?
It will be just a sec.
Yeah, no, sorry.
I've got some written down here. If anyone wants to ask, if anyone has got any that have come up, you can either ask them or I'll repeat them.
No worries.
I've got a great question here. Someone must be thinking about something. Do tattoos hurt?
The short answer is yes, but it depends on body parts. So I've got quite a few personally. Like places like outside of arms and outside of legs aren't that painful, but then like when you get onto your knees and feet and sternum and places like that, hands. But like I was saying earlier, some people have different pain thresholds as well. You just got to be like patient and kind with people because it's gonna hurt. It hurts everyone. And like people say to me, "Oh, you've got loads." It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. They've all hurt me as well. And some people will be absolutely fine. Like I say, they'll sit for 8 hours. They'll have a full day session, no problem. Other people that it really, they can't stand it. So like, yeah, the short answer is yes, it does hurt, but everyone's different pain threshold wise.
This is an interesting one. How much money do you earn?
Depends. So also like it changes during your career. So a lot of apprentices don't earn much or just earn a little bit for cleaning and things like that, but you're getting paid with knowledge, like your education. This once you first start getting into it, like I say, like I had friends that let me do like little things on them, so I didn't charge them for that. And then you start earning, like you charge a small amount at first, like an apprentice rate, because people know they're not getting, they're still getting a all right tattoo, but it's not going to be like the best as the person who's a mentor or whatever. So you start like you charge like less an hour. So I know some apprentices that only charge like £30-40 an hour, because as well they're going to be a lot slower, so you not get as much for that hour. But mine's 60 an hour or 300 for a full day. But some days are different. Like I said, like some people are booking a full day and then only be able to do half the day. So like sometimes you'll get like 300 a day. Sometimes you'll get like 150, 100. It depends on what you've got booked in. So yeah, it completely depends. But yeah, you could like once you've been doing it a few years, you've got the potential to earn quite a bit. But obviously, it takes like at least 4 or 5 years to be earning a decent amount. So for a while, you don't as much, and you obviously don't have a client base as much when you're first starting out. Like I've been doing it a while, so I've got like booked up for months and stuff like that. When you first start out, like it's getting people to trust you and getting people in and getting like customers. So eventually you can earn money, basically.
Okay, I've got a couple more that I'll throw in just to see how that inspires everybody. So one of my questions to you would be about your confidence as an artist, because what I notice a lot with the students is that sometimes they'll do a piece of work which I can look at it and I can see that it's a beautiful, amazing piece of work, but quite often creative people always feel they could do better or it's not as good as they could do. So are you proud of your work, and are you confident?
Yeah, but at the same time, I think you're only as good as your last piece sometimes. I think it's good I don't always want to plateau, so I'm still critical of a lot of things. Or you'll do something like where I'm proud of it, but then in like a year's time, I know I can do better or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm better than that now. But yeah, I think you have to have a certain level of confidence. But it's daunting putting things on someone's skin for life. It's scary at first, especially your first few. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to hurt them, and also I don't want to mess up. But yeah, after a while, obviously you get used to that element. I've got a certain element of confidence, but like I say, I'm still quite critical of stuff. You'll still post something online and go, oh no, like zoom in on your own thing, go like that little line, I could have done this. But yeah, I think it's important to have a little bit of that so you don't plateau. But yeah.
Before I ask any more questions, has anyone got any in here? By the way, before I start hogging the conversation, I've just thought of another one as well. So like you can get different thickness pieces of paper. Like, you can get a nice, good quality bit of cartridge paper and do a certain draw on it, but then you might get quite a thin, waffy piece of paper that might not take you're drawing so well. Are people's skins different? Do you have different qualities of skin?
So yeah, in a way, like not in a massive amount, but like elderly people have really thin skin. You know, like people bruise really easily. So you have to be really careful with like older people's skin. There's not, I mean, I think the oldest person I've tattooed was maybe in the 70s, but it's like, you know, like I was saying about depth, you go in. So I set my machine up to go like, it's only like a couple of millimeters. You get set to go up at a certain depth. You just got to be really careful and go really light, you know, like as you're pressing and things like that, especially with old skin. And then you get some people, you know, if they've got things like eczema, psoriasis, stuff like that, or, you know, like when some people have that where they don't let the skin breathe and they get a little bit pimply and stuff, the skin's a little bit tougher if they work outdoors and stuff. Not like a massive amount, it's more like some people's skin's drier. And that, like I said, with the healing process, if you look after it and moisturize and things like that, it usually heals better. But yeah, you get some people with problem skin generally, that it's obviously it's not going to heal exactly the same, but usually they're aware of that, so they know they might have to have a little bit of a retouch or something.
Now I know that obviously you've shown us your shop and you've talked about where you're based, but also looking at your biography and reading about you in the past few weeks, you've done work nationally as well as locally. So what's the network of tattoo artists like, and what's it like for getting projects?
Yeah, I've done a few like conventions and stuff. Yeah, I did. Well, conventions are quite cool, but they're also like, it's you get more exposure than you do get like what money. It's not really worth money or anything like that, but it's good for meeting other artists, picking stuff up, and like watching other people and how they work. Because there's no like any art, there's not always a right and wrong. There is obviously the technical element. There's some things like if you want to be a black and grey artist, go and watch someone who does that. Or, you know, if you're looking for someone to learn from, if there's like an end goal of the type of thing that you're good at or you want to do, maybe go for an artist that does that thing, and mirror them sort of thing. Conventions and stuff are fun. You see all different types of things, and there's competitions and stuff. You have to pay quite a bit for your stall, so you don't really earn any money, but it's more getting exposure and meeting people. Yeah, it can be quite fun. It's like any group of people. Some people are easy. Some people like keep the cards to the chest and don't want to share anything, and some people don't like sharing the secrets or whatever. But I think like it's just fun to go and watch other people and stuff like that.
All right, I've got another question, which is a bit of an odd one. Not as odd as the quality of people's skins, but I've forgotten what the question is now. What was I about to ask? No, it was a really good one. I just thought of something. Well, it'll come back to me in a second. Does anyone else got any questions? No.
All right, just jab it on.
What? Go on. On a person, how did it feel to do the first tattoo that you did on a person? What was it like that first time?
It was scary, but it was someone I knew. It was my friend. So there was a bit of trust there, and I knew it was someone I knew. Like, if anything did go wrong, they wasn't going to like be really upset or anything. So I think that's like kind of good to get. A lot of people tattoo themselves for the first one as well. Like I haven't really done mine on my legs. Well, actually, I did one on my arm last week. But you kind of need both hands most of the time until you know what you're doing. But like, yeah, it was scary just because I was like, oh my god, like I said, like. Get used to machine is a bit like, am I doing this right and all that sort of stuff. I practiced on that fake skin, but you can get pig skin, but I never really fancied doing it on pig skin. It was just a bit gross, and I never wanted to do it on pig skin. But yeah, the first one was scary, but then I knew I had someone that was okay with it, you know, that they knew it was my first one and that sort of thing. So if you get like a friend or even on yourself, you know that you're going to be all right. The worst thing can happen is you get covered in a few years or something. But like I say, like make sure you're in an environment where someone's helping you as well.
I remembered my odd question. I don't know why it came into my head, but it's just like from, I don't know, maybe it's my age. Maybe I just know from people's day-to-day jobs and just from talking to people from every single walk of life that it's very surprising which jobs can tire you out after a day's work, which bits of your body ache and need relaxing. So what's the physical demands on the job?
Well, so it's mentally exhausting, I'd say. It's like I said, like your job doesn't end when you leave as well. I get people, especially because social media is good for sharing like what you're doing and getting clients, which is ace. But I'll get people message me like literally 10 on a night. I had someone message me on Christmas Day once, and I think they think, oh, it's a fun job, it's cool, it's tattoos. And they're like, all right, mate. And a lot of people I've had clients for years that have ended up being my friends. And it's fine, I don't mind talking to them, but sometimes you can't get away from work, which is like sometimes a bit like, I love my job, but sometimes I don't want to talk about work. Sometimes you'll go to a pub and someone's start going, how much would this be? And you'll probably never bloody see them again. They'll start getting their arms out and going, I've got this from 5 years ago. But like, yeah, it's more mentally exhausting. So like, because you're there, especially because you're concentrating, like people are with doing things on a screen. You're concentrating on something for hours and hours. Like say, like, usually tattooing for 8 hours, you're staring at one thing and not, take a couple of breaks, but you are staring at one thing all day. So you just get like just a bit burnt out. And I've got a bit of a bad back from like bad posture for years. But I think most tattooists I know have got a bad back because like as much as you say I shouldn't hand it over, you do. You get yourself in weird positions trying to get in people's body parts. You'll learn as well when you get into it how to position people and how to stretch the skin and on different beds and stuff like that. But you're still half the time trying to get in that good position, and yeah, you end up with a sore back most days. Yeah.
How do you motivate yourself on days where maybe you feel a bit, not 100%, or
I don't know, because I'm working with people. Most days you still enjoy it. Like one good part of the job is like over the years, like I've had clients that have been with me for years, and you learn about their lives and you're catching up with them every time, and it's quite nice to be around people. I think sometimes even when you don't feel about it, like doing it, you see the person, you're chatting away, and you forget that you're having an unmotivated day sometimes. I suppose you put your work face on and you just, you enjoy the day. But like some jobs are better than others. Like I was saying, some styles I'm not always like, not my favorite thing to do, but they're your bread and butter. It's like anyone's job. There's certain elements you like more than others, but most days I enjoy it.
Excellent. So you're glad it's your job? Yeah,
100%. And like I say, if you've asked me, like, so I've only been in the industry now, like nearly 10 years. If you asked me 10 years ago, I'd have been, oh my God, I don't believe I'd have got to this point. Because like I said, there's a lot of people going, and like, I don't know, when I first started asking, I went to like almost Skin in Lee's, a couple of places. And it was like, back then, I think Miami Ink was just on and Kat Von D, and people thought, oh, is that where you want to be? I wasn't even interested in that. I just wanted to be like in a job where I could do art. But it was very male dominated, and it was very like old school, like, and like not so much now, but a lot of people used to treat apprentices like crap, like just really talk to them like rubbish and do the crap jobs and all that sort of stuff. It's not so bad now. I think, it's, most people have a bit of a better time when they're learning. But yeah, it was very cloak and dagger, like, no one's allowed in. And I got like quite a few no's and quite a few, well, what do you want to do this for? But yeah, I'm glad I carried on and just kept at it. And like I said, it takes a while to like, till you're doing like a decent work, because you're just learning that new thing, but just being patient. Yeah, so like I enjoy it now. Like there was a few years where you can feel like giving up if you're not doing amazingly, but yeah, 100%, it was worth it.
Brilliant. Right, has anyone else got any questions for Holly before we let her go? Remember, once she's gone, don't ask me questions about it because I don't know the answer, or I'll make it up. Right, well, Holly, thank you very much for coming and talking to us.
Whereas I hope that people got something from it. Like I said, I was just telling like my story and how I got there. There's different, different studios, different work and all that sort of stuff. But like I say, it's like anything. If you get out what you put in, keep your chin up and keep trying. basically.
Fantastic advice. Can we all give Holly a lot of noise for joining us?
Nice noise.
It's like a cricket.